Alright guys, here's a short little video just showcasing what we do at Richardson's Whitetail Services. Now, in the spring of 2023, we went and did a consult for a gentleman with a really nice piece of property. It had some things that needed to be done and some tweaks that needed to be made. He had some invasives that needed to be taken care of, and he needed more food. So, we did our consult, we made our suggestions, and the landowner went above and beyond what I ever expected him to get done in a year. I mean, he really did a great job, and the property's looking good. So, one of the food plots that we suggested he put in was a big soybean plot for summer, and that plot helped him take this really nice buck that we'll show you here. And it just goes to show, if you're expecting really good results, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Do the improvements, and it will pay off. So, let's watch the video. Alright guys, we made it all the way up into Maine to one of our consults, and we're going over all the actions that he's taken to improve the property. So, as you see, we got a cut behind us here. This was all mature hemlock, and he's got a lot more going on. So, follow along, and we're going to look at all the improvements that he's made to the property to make this a pure and unadulterated deer heaven. Alright, let's go. Alright, you're going to see behind me here we have a huge swamp. And over here we got a river, and as it goes up in here, it turns into swamp white oak. There's a ridge that runs down through here, and it kind of comes around. Up in this area, you'll see the client's fields are all up in here, and he's going to put that in the food plot. The area that we're in now, the deer generally use this type of area for a bedding area and an escape area. It's almost like its own little sanctuary, if you will. So the deer can get out in here, and they can't be approached by anybody because of the wet, and because the deer can tell if somebody's coming or not. This is a perfect spot to have and leave as a sanctuary, because you don't want to do any... First off, you can't do any improvements in here because of the swamp. Obviously, you can't do any improvements in here because it's a swamp, and there's rules and regulations against it. But leaving something like this alone and allowing the deer to have this as a natural area helps you, because it holds the deer. This is a perfect spot to hold your deer where they're not going to be bothered by anybody, and put your food out on the edges. And that's what Alvin's doing here on this property. So not only that, but they also have natural food in here with the white oak. It's a really interesting spot. They do swim the river back and forth. We found a couple of really well-used trails going in and out of the river, coming back and forth. And as in discussion, we were talking about it, and they get a lot of camera pictures of wet deer. They also have a lot of red osier dogwood down in here, which is great browse. So this is a really good spot for this property to keep as a sanctuary. See, we got a cut here. It stretches out. We left a line of oak and some oak up on the flat top here. This will grow up into good. Forage in here, and we left a funnel that goes up through here into the apple orchard, so the deer can travel through there with cover and get up into the apple orchard out of the field. So this is a really good setup right here. They took out, this was a mature pine and hemlock in here, and they cut all that stuff out and scarified the ground all up, so we're going to get a lot of growth growing in here. This is really nice. Left one hemlock for seed trees, so we get some small hemlock growing in here too. This will be a really great spot for food. Alright, so where I'm standing right now, we have a food plot. And this food plot, when we first came in here, looked like this ridge back here. It was just a big oak ridge high up, and we got the river right back down in here, and there's a river bottom. This was a high spot up in here, and it was flat enough that I had this idea that this would make a really great
food plot because the deer travel back and forth through here. This is a natural funnel that they use between, there's a quarry here and a river here, and it's just a thick area that they came through. So we put this spot in here so the deer would have a place to stop and eat between their travels in the evening. And needs a little bit more work. There's some issues with the pH level in here. It's a little bit low, but that's going to be taken care of this summer. And you can see the clover is coming up right here, and it has been hit hard in here. The deer are really hitting it really well. They got to do a little bit of adjustment on tree stands. We got a tree stand over here that's on the wrong corner, so generally the wind is going to be coming like this from this area, so that the tree stand's off a little bit. But if we bring the tree stand over on this side, it's going to work out, especially since the deer come in from behind me and from in front of me. So this is a really great spot. Another thing that Alvin did that we suggested was where we wanted to put a stand. He had one of the relatives put the stand up here, not in a great spot, but you'll see that he piled this brush all along in here. And what that does is it blocks the movement and forces the movement through this opening here, and anywhere up on this side is open. And that will funnel the travel in and out of this plot. This works out really well. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It is awesome. This is a perfect kill plot. It's about 1/4 of an acre. So most of the bags of the seed that you get, that's usually a 1/4 acre plot. This is perfect. So a little bit of lime in here. This is going to be probably one of his best areas to hunt, I think. So got plenty of deer tracks cutting back and forth in here, all feeding. He has access to a lot of natural fertilizer, so that's what he's using instead of using the chemical fertilizers, as they're so expensive these days. We actually have manure in here, so this is going to be a really great spot. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This is going to be money. Another indicator that the deer are using this food plot a lot is every one of the maple stumps that are in here are chewed down to nothing. So the deer are using this spot really heavy. I am super happy with this. This came out great.